Hello folks, my name is Mark. This is Why I Hate the World. My peoples, where you at? How you guys doing? I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the Middle East. Essentially, Israel and Hamas came to a ceasefire, this is not a peace agreement. This is not an end to the hostilities. This is just a temporary ceasefire, which I guess is good, but when you examine more closely what it's all about and what's going on, it's really not that good. That is, it's not that good for the future of peace in the region. I guess it's good for the people there so that they can go a temporary amount of time without getting shot at or bombs dropped on them or anything like that. So I guess, you take what you can get, right? So what exactly is going on here? They've come to this ceasefire agreement, which will be enacted one day before Donald Trump takes office. And at first that kind of sounds like a nice little FU to Trump from Biden on his way out, but that's not exactly the case. Apparently, some people from the Trump team had a hand in the negotiations, which is okay. I mean, I'm kind of surprised by that because both Biden and Donald Trump have essentially said they're going to let Netanyahu do whatever the hell he wants. And if you examine this actual deal a little closer, that's exactly what the deal is, but we'll get a little bit into that later. I guess it's just great that, okay, there'll be at least a temporary respite from the wanton slaughter and genocide. It just kind of seems a little bit too little too late, don't you think? I mean, already somewhere around 46,000 people have been killed in Israel's genocide here. And now they want to have a ceasefire. It's like, why? After all of this, why do they want to have a ceasefire now? It's not like they had any reason to. And it just kind of seems like, okay, they've already done all the killing. They've already destroyed Hamas. They've already killed everybody. They've forced all the people out of their homes. They've reduced the entire city to rubble and left, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of refugees there with no place to go and are still trying to displace them so they can steal their land. Why did they agree to a ceasefire now? What advantage do the Israelis get from it? I don't know. Is it a PR advantage? Do they need to take some time to pull people out, swap their troops around, get some fresh boots on the ground, whatever? I don't know. It just seems very fishy to me. And the timing of this whole thing seems very fishy to me as well. It really reminds me a lot of what happened after Ronald Reagan got elected. I don't know if you guys remember. I mean, I was a very, very young child when this happened. But way back in 1980, when Jimmy Carter was running against Ronald Reagan, we had the Iran hostage crisis. And what was going on was that basically the student revolution in Iran, they took a bunch of hostages, and Jimmy Carter was negotiating to let them go, and they wouldn't let him go. And then the day that Ronald Reagan took office, they let the hostages go. And there's lots of speculation, although I'm not exactly sure if there's any outright proof of this, but there's lots of speculation and even some testimony of people saying that the Reagan camp were in touch with the Iranians, saying that, hey, hang on to these hostages and help us get elected. I don't know if that's actually true. It's sort of like a conspiracy theory, but it's a conspiracy theory that has a lot of legs to it. It's got a lot of backing. There's people who have written books about this and testified to it and all that other stuff, because that's highly, highly illegal. You're not allowed to negotiate on behalf of the United States government unless you're actually in the United States government, which Ronald Reagan was not at that time. I can't remember the exact act that it's called, but there's an actual law that violates. I could look it up right now, but I'm not going to because I'm lazy. So if that's the case, if the Trump people actually were part of these negotiations, then they would have to have been authorized by Biden and his cabinet in order to make such negotiations, in which case that means the victory lands on Biden's shoulders, right? But from what I'm reading, it really kind of seems like Donald Trump put some pressure on Netanyahu, and from what I'm reading, from interviews that I'm seeing, from videos that I'm seeing, what it looks like is that basically this entire time that Biden has been negotiating for this ceasefire, because apparently he's been trying to get this ceasefire going since May of last year, of 2024, and they agreed to the exact same terms that he set out in May of 2024. So why did he agree to it now? Why did he agree to the exact same terms that they set out way back 6 months ago and all that stuff? 7 months ago now. Why would he do that? It really seems like what was happening was that Biden was not putting any pressure at all on Benjamin Netanyahu at all, because Biden is ideologically aligned with Benjamin Netanyahu, and he does not want any kind of pressure put on them whatsoever. Apparently, he thinks that will taint his legacy or something like that, according to videos and articles that I'm reading. And Donald Trump doesn't have this limitation. Donald Trump is very much more of a transactional kind of guy. So you give me something, I give you something. And that's why Netanyahu actually went for it. So what did Donald Trump give Netanyahu as part of the deal? In order for him to agree to this ceasefire, what did he give him? Well, apparently he gave him the West Bank. He basically said that Netanyahu can go into the West Bank, he can legalize all of the illegal settlements there and basically just steal all of that land. So, of course, the West Bank is on the other side of Israel. They have nothing to do with Gaza. They have nothing to do with Hamas. The West Bank is led by Hezbollah, not Hamas. They're completely different organizations. But Israel has been using this excuse to crack down and steal land from the West Bank. And that's basically the deal that Donald Trump gave them. And also, please keep in mind, this is a temporary ceasefire. So after 45 days, the war starts up again. And are any of the people who have been displaced in the Gaza Strip, are they going to be allowed to go back to their homes? Are they going to be able to start rebuilding? Are they going to let concrete and building materials and wood and nails and stuff like that, like, into the area so that they can start rebuilding their homes? No. They're not going to start doing that. They're going to keep these people as refugees because the plan is to get rid of them. That's the plan. The plan is to get rid of 2 million people, one way or the other, from the Gaza Strip so that Israel can take all of that land and build up expensive seaside resorts or whatever the fuck they want to do. I don't know, put a fucking Trump Tower there. You know, make a goddamn Trump golf course or some shit. That's what the fucking plan is, and Donald Trump, from what the reports I'm seeing, has just basically given him the A-OK to do that. So this is going to be a very temporary respite for the people of Gaza. They're essentially screwed, and Joe Biden and Donald Trump both screwed them. So there really is no good guy in this situation. One side, we have an inept old man who basically tanked the fucking election for him and Kamala Harris because he didn't want to stand up to Benjamin Netanyahu. And that is exactly what happened, by the way. I want to show you guys something. This is a article that I found. This is from DropSite, from a guy named Ryan Grimm on Substack. Kamala Harris paid the price for not breaking with Biden on Gaza, new poll shows. And long story short, we don't really need to read through this entire thing, but it basically shows some poll numbers. And if you look here, let me zoom in on this a little bit here for you. If you look here, these are the percentages of people who voted for Joe Biden who did not vote for Kamala Harris, according to these states. And the reason why they didn't vote for him, these are the people who answered what was going on in Israel and the genocide of the Palestinians as the reason as to why they did not vote for Kamala Harris. Just take a look at this, okay? Arizona, 38%. 38% of people in Arizona who voted for Joe Biden but did not vote for Kamala Harris cite this as the reason. Okay? Some of them not too big, Georgia, but look at these other ones. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. And you know, the numbers in those states were close enough as it was. She would have won the election if these people would have voted for her. Because remember, these are people who voted for Joe Biden. If they would have turned out for Kamala Harris, she would have won the election. And they didn't. You know why? Because Joe Biden fucked up the handling of this genocide in Israel. Because he turned the other way and gave Israel all the bullets and bombs that they could possibly ever fucking want, and they just turned around and murdered 46,000 Palestinians with it. And that, please keep in mind, that is the low number. Okay? We don't actually know how many people were killed. during this entire genocide. We don't know how many. I mean, it could be upwards of 300,000 is another estimate that I'm seeing. Okay, because they have no way of actually knowing how many people were in those buildings when the buildings were exploded, when Israel dropped all the bombs on them and killed all these people, when they dropped bombs on fucking refugee camps. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention. There's video of it out there. It's not like it's hard to find either. It's not like, no, just go on TikTok, go on different places. You can find video of civilians getting blown away. Dropping things like, they call them ninja bombs. And I thought that was a joke at first. Ninja bombs, it's like a bomb with like blades that shoot out that like hack people's limbs off and shit. That's a real fucking thing. Like, I thought that was something like from a video game. Like, ninja bomb? Are you fucking serious? No, it's real. They've been dropping shit like that on people. Maiming and murdering thousands and thousands of people for a year. Now, like over a fucking year since this whole thing has started. And they're doing it with money from us. When you pay your taxes, some of that money is going to kill babies in Palestine. I hope you guys understand that. This is why this is why Kamala Harris lost the election. If she would have had those people, if those people would have voted for her, she would have won. They didn't vote for her because of this, because they don't like the idea that their president is using our money to support a genocide. Do the Republicans care about that? Fuck no, they don't care about it. They're happy. They're happy that there's a genocide going on there. Donald Trump is not going to stop this, and that's what I think you guys don't understand. I think a lot of Republicans out there are in denial. And I know that because I'm seeing shit like this. This is from Reddit. Somebody posting on Twitter, he did it even before taking office. President Trump has triggered peace in the Middle East. They're already giving him credit for it. Even though he's not the president, even though he hasn't had anything to do with this negotiation for the last year, the simple fact that some of his people were tapped by the Biden administration to come in and help with negotiations because he's going to be the president, which is the most likely fucking reason, that just that in and of itself means that all the Republicans are giving him all the credit. Everything that Biden did that was good, Trump is going to take the credit. And everything that he did was bad, he's going to blame on Biden. That's exactly what's going to happen now. Just watch. All the economy, everything else, every single good policy to come out of the Biden administration is now going to be Trump's accomplishment. That's the exact same thing he did with Obama, so, you know, we shouldn't be surprised there. But just letting you guys know, this is not going to help the actual people in Gaza. Just to end this off, right? I think Joe Biden is probably the best president in my lifetime, except for this. Like, pretty much everything else he's done the whole time that he was president, I was down for, I was happy for. All of the stuff, the student loan forgiveness, pulling us out of Afghanistan, the way he handled the pandemic and COVID and all that, like, I was down for all of it because Joe Biden is actually a great leader, except for this. This is what's going to tarnish his legacy. He fucked this up extremely bad. He fucked it up to a point where not only was there backlash, but the entire control of the government has now shifted over to the other political party. Just remember when Donald Trump left office, just remember the chaos that we were in because of his incredibly fucking bad leadership. Do you guys remember that? Do you guys remember how incredibly horrible the government was and how everything was all fucked up and how we had January 6th, people trying to take over the fucking, coup d'etat and shit like that. And they had thousands of people getting sick and dying of a fucking easily preventable disease. You guys remember all of that? How shitty everything was? How fucking fucked up? How much Donald Trump fucked the country up on his way out? People saw all of that and decided to vote for that again because Joe Biden allowed a genocide to happen in our name with our money. That's how bad Joe Biden fucked up. But you gotta, we can't be in denial about these things. We need better leaders. We are about to have the worst fucking 4 years in recent memories is about to happen. You guys just understand that. Okay, Donald Trump is going to fuck this country up super fucking hard. It is almost a guarantee that the next president will be Democratic, and they will probably also have a trifecta. That's how bad Donald Trump is going to fuck things up. So we need to get ready for the next time. We can't afford to just get someone who just isn't Trump. We can't afford that. Okay, we can't afford to just have somebody like, oh, look, see, I'm a normal president. No, we have to actually get somebody in there who's going to make the kind of changes we want. Anyway, folks, that's all I got. Everybody stay cool, stay safe. I will talk to you all later. Adios. Hello, folks. If you like what I do and you want to support the channel, please consider buying something from my Etsy shop, supporting me on Patreon, liking and subscribing, and checking me out across my social media links listed below. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.